The first plants lived in the water. It was under the increased competition of resources that plants began to develop mechanisms that allowed them to move to land. The biggest concern for plants when moving to land was finding a way to support themselves and absorb and conserve water without the convenience of water surrounding them. For example, algae is very floppy and fluid within the water, but pull it out of the water, it collapses into your hand, and then after a short amount of time it just completely dries out. How does this differ from, let's say, the roses that you might buy on Valentine's Day? Land plants have cell walls made of cellulose, which gives them structure, and they also developed root hairs, stomates, and this cutin coat on their leaves over time. And all these are different mechanisms that help plants regulate water intake and minimize water loss. So root hairs allow plants to absorb water and nutrients from the soil, stomates regulate gas exchange and minimize water loss, and the cutin coat is a waxy layer that sort of laminates the leaves, again to minimize water loss. Over time, land plants also developed more complexity to increase their survival in a greater variety of conditions. Remember, mosses and other bryophytes have gametophyte dominant generations. In fact, the sporophyte generation depends on the gametophyte generation for nutrients. But beginning with ferns, plants became sporophyte dominant, and sporophyte dominance is an evolutionary advantage mainly because the diploid count of chromosomes gives an increased genetic diversity within the plant population, and it also decreases the population's vulnerability to genetic mutations. The seed and seed coat also let plant offspring survive under more unfavorable conditions. And in the most advanced plants, the flowering plants, the flower is just really another evolutionary mechanism for attracting pollinators, and the fruit attracts animals which eat the fruit and poop out the seed, helping with seed dispersion. So over time, you can see how plants have evolved from the ancestral green algae to the most complex flowering plants.